Hello, my friends. I'm Leona Dooley, and this is Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme in the kitchen. And today in the kitchen, we are doing a dish that is going to be one that you're going to want to use in your Thanksgiving menu and keep in your repertoire. We are going to be preparing some sweet potatoes because, after all, when there's Thanksgiving, there must be some sweet potatoes. Now, I'm going to start today with a sweet potato dish. And then later, I'll do a more savory sweet potato dish. And that way you can decide which one you really want to do. Now, what I am planning to do is to put together a playlist for Thanksgiving. And so that way you can just go to the playlist, find what you need, and bam, you're ready to go. So, if you're interested in preparing some delicious sweet potatoes, then stay tuned. All right, we're going to work on those sweet potatoes, but before we do, I want to show you and explain to you what I am going to do today. Now, look at this dish. I don't know if you've seen one ever, but this little dish is one that I've had for over 40 years. 40 years. My mother gave me a set of these dishes for my wedding. Now, not just that, but this was one of the things I asked for. And I love these little dishes, and guess what? It's the only one that's left, so I hold on to it very dearly. It's the perfect size right now for just the two of us. And so when I'm cooking and I'm doing small batch cooking, then this is one of the dishes that I normally go to. It just has to be sprayed well, and it cooks very quickly, has a nice clear lid, and bam, that meal is ready. So that's what the sweet potatoes are going to be prepared in. And I was out and about, and I thought I'd go by a thrift store. Well, I am so glad I did, because I absolutely love cast iron pans. And you know, since I'm trying to do two-person cooking, it's all about preparing meals in something small. Well, this is the cutest little Lodge. I don't know if you can see that, but it is a Lodge cast iron pan, and it is, let's see if I can turn it up. There you go. That's a better view of it. It's a Lodge cast iron pan. And it was $5.99. I got a senior discount. So it actually came down to $3. Hey, I hate to admit, yes, I'm a senior, but $2 off, I'll take it. So for about $3 and some change, I got it. So it just needs a good scrubbing and cleaning up and oiling and a little baking and heating it up, and it's going to be ready to do some serious cooking. So I am so excited to have this little pan now added to my repertoire of cast iron pans, because these are not cheap to purchase, and especially a Lodge. So cast iron pan, thrift store find. I love it. Now I'm going to direct the camera down so you can see what I'm doing. I have some marshmallows, I've got cinnamon, brown sugar, all those good things that are going to go with these sweet potatoes. But before we can do anything with the sweet potatoes, they need to be cooked. I do not boil my sweet potatoes. I want my sweet potatoes to have flavor. So I bake my sweet potatoes. Let's get started. Got my potatoes, like I said, I'm going to do some savory, some sweet. Today we're going to focus on the sweet, but I'm going to do all the baking today while the oven is in operation. I'm going to take a little bit of vegetable oil, just a capful, and really not even that much. And what I want to do, I'm just going to put a little bit in my hand, rub my hands together, and I'm going to rub my sweet potatoes down. And then I'm going to sit them on my baking pan. So I want them well oiled. Get to know your food well. They've been washed. And see anything kind of strange on them, get them off. Okay, and I have one more. Sometimes they have little strings and those kind of things on them, so we're going to take care of that. All right, so these potatoes are ready to go into the oven for about an hour. I want them well cooked and I want them nice and soft. So once they cool, all I have to do is squish and they're in and ready to go. In this bowl, we are going to prepare what's going to go inside of the sweet potato. Tonight I'm having 2 boneless pork chops. And I placed them into a Ziploc bag, a quart-size Ziploc bag. And even though that's not our real focus today, I wanted you to see that I'm going to be using the Weber black peppercorn marinade mix on it. And it's early in the day, so I'm going to sprinkle this in there. And I'm going to let them marinate until about 5 this afternoon. And then I'll actually cook them. Now, so I'm going to sprinkle. And I don't think I'm going to need all of it, but what I'm going to do is just kind of get it broken up. Ooh, you can smell that pepper. After all, it's a black peppercorn mix. Okay, so one side. So this is going to give you one of those real peppery types of finish. So if you like that and you're a pepper person, I think this would be right down your alley. It's the Weber black peppercorn mix. And I'm going to take a little bit more of this. And I'm trying to break it up before I start to sprinkle. And I'm going to sprinkle in just a little more. And I still have half a package left, because it really was made for 4 chops, or 4 of whatever it is that you're doing. So I'm trying to get all the air out, zip it, and then I'm going to massage this marinade into my pork chops. Now, this mix has, let's see what all's in it. See if I can read that. It has, besides pepper, whoa, I need glasses. Okay, black pepper, salt. It has onions. It has some spices like salt and a touch of sugar. And I think what I'm going to do is to add just a little bit of garlic. You know what? I think I'll just throw a little bit of our house seasoning in, and that will take care of everything that I think it's missing. So let's get our house seasoning. I'm going to get a little bit of that, sprinkle it on one side, flip it over, and give it a good sprinkle on the back side. Now, there we go. That one didn't get much. Let's get them on there. Okay, these are going to be wonderful. And I'm going to sit these in the refrigerator. You could do this with chicken. It is for chicken, pork, steak, beef, whatever it is that you like to prepare. So this just happens to be what I had in the freezer. And that's what we're going to be using tonight and having with our sweet potato casserole. Is that I've had the pan in a 425 oven, that little skillet, I'm going to take that skillet out. It is very, very hot. I'm going to sit it gently right here. And I am going to put some oil on it. Now I'm going to take a paper towel, and I think I'm going to need more than just what I have in order for it to work well. As you can see, it's hot enough. I don't know if you can see the sizzle, but it is sizzling. That tells you how hot it got in the oven. Now, using my glove on one hand and the skillet and the batch of paper towels here, I'm going to rub this oil all around this skillet. And I want it to soak in to this skillet, because this skillet, I don't think, has been oiled in quite a while. You know, cast iron pans never, never, never die. You may have to do a little sanding and touching them up just to get them back to their beautiful state. But cast iron pans last forever. It's one of those things that when you can get one, get on it. You do not want to pass it up. See how hot that was? That even toasted my paper towel. Now, so I'm going to put this back in the oven and let that get happy, and then I'm going to do it probably 2 more times. Alrighty, those sweet potatoes have been peeled and they smell wonderful. They're nice and hot, so they're going to be so easy to work with. I have my brown sugar. I always keep my brown sugar in a Ziploc bag for protection. And I'm going to place in 2 heaping tablespoons of brown sugar. I'm just going to sprinkle it over those potatoes. There we go. There's 1. And let's get the second one. There we go. Brown sugar smells good as well. Now let's go to the teaspoon, and I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. And whatever brand of cinnamon you like is fine. And if you're not a big cinnamon person, you may opt to just put in a little less. But 1 teaspoon works out very well, and it's not a real strong cinnamon flavor. I'm also adding in a ½ teaspoon of salt. Let me get that measured. And as it turned out, my estimate was pretty good. So I just tossed the last of it in. So just a smidget over a half. Here's our softened butter, and we need 3 tablespoons of softened butter. 3 tablespoons. And you do want this really, really soft, because you're going to mix this and you want it smooth and silky when it's finished. So we have our 3 tablespoons of butter. All right, we've got our mixer, and you will want to use a hand mixer or even a KitchenAid, but the hand mixer is just so much easier for something this quick. So let's get that mixer in, get it turned on. And I'm starting it out on low because I don't want sweet potato everywhere. And there we go. And we're just going to continue to mix, and you can play with the speed once it gets started. Do make sure that you are going all the way to the very bottom of the bowl so that everything gets some sugar, some cinnamon, some salt, and of course, some butter. All right, so that's the first part. Now I'm going to add a ½ of an orange of juice. So I need to cut that in half. and then give it a good squeeze. These are little navel oranges, and they really were quite sweet. I got those at Walmart. Man, they were good. I thought I had a seed in it, but you know, I've had 4 of them over the week and not one seed. So that was nice. So I'm just making sure I get all the goodness out of that orange. And the rest will be for the cook. So let's mix. Now we're also going to put in some milk and 1 egg. So I have in my cup about a 1/4 cup of milk. And don't just pour the 1/4 cup of milk into your mixture. Put a little bit in, mix, and see what it looks like. Let's taste. And you want to taste now before you put the egg in. That way, if you need to adjust the seasonings, you can. All right, so I'm sprinkling in a little bit of milk. And the reason I didn't put too much milk in is because the potatoes really weren't dry. They're very moist. So I'm getting the egg. There we go. So we are ready to eat. I'm going to whip this up. There we go. Now, while this is whipping, I'll talk a little bit about Thanksgiving. You know, for us, our Thanksgiving is always very traditional. There is always a turkey. Even if we go out for Thanksgiving, I fix almost a complete meal at home so that I have leftovers. And if I want to have some friends over after the holiday, I can. And very often we will be out for the actual holiday, but then on Black Friday, that ends up as my Thanksgiving dinner day, and I'll serve it that day. But if I'm the one doing it, then I'll just serve dinner to go. It is chili or something light that I can put in a crock pot. Everybody can come in for shopping, and the food is smelling good. Grab some crackers or whatever, and dinner's ready. It's not a big ordeal. So our sweet potato casserole is ready to go into our dish. Now, this dish serves almost 8 people, surprisingly. How about that? Because, you know, sweet potato casserole is a side, not the main dish. So this dish will go quite a long way. Now, I'm going to bake this for just a little while and to get it started. Then I'll take it out and add the praline topping. I do not want that praline topping to get too dark. And if yours starts to brown too fast, then just cover it either with a piece of foil or with some parchment paper to kind of cut down on the browning. And then once it's really done, you're going to add some marshmallows. Now, everybody has their technique for marshmallows, and you're going to see what I do with mine. Now, in that little bowl that I've picked up, you'll see cereal. The recipe officially calls for cornflakes. I didn't have any cornflakes. I had Frosted Flakes, and that's what I used. And surprisingly enough, it wasn't real sweet. Notice, I'm putting in very little brown sugar, just enough, and about a teaspoon of brown sugar, and I'm going to get that all mixed up very nicely, and it's going to require a little bit of butter. I'm just kind of breaking it up. I want that cereal broken up. So I'm kind of mushing and mushing. I'm going to add in about a tablespoon of butter because you'll need the butter. And then I'll do a little more mixing.
I'm trying to decide, do I want a spoon to mix it? Do I want a fork to mix it? What's going to do it best? Well, eventually I tried the fork. The spoon didn't work. So, you have to go to what you know, your fingers. And they worked out just great. That way you can just mush and smash and press, and it will be delicious. There we go. Now what we're going to do with this praline topping is that we're going to make a border around the top of the casserole. It's going to have a frame. That's what it's going to look like, a picture frame. I'm going to sprinkle it all around, and you'll see I'm washing my hands at this point, but I'm going to also add, I had just a little bit of pecan left. So, you know me, I threw those in too. Why half step? Do you have to add the pecans? Of course not. And that part is up to you. And especially if you know you have members of your family who are nut sensitive, then don't add the nuts. It's not going to really change the praline topping. It's going to be good no matter what. But the nut just gives it an additional little crunch in addition to the cereal. Now, to be honest with you, once this cooked, and since this is the first time I used the Frosted Flakes, I really didn't need the nuts because the Frosted Flakes were quite crispy and gave a very good texture. And so I'm just mixing it up just to make sure everything's all happy in that bowl. And then we're going to put it around the sweet potato. 350 oven. And let it cook. Let it take its time. And when it starts to get just a little brown, a little golden brown, take it out, put your praline topping on it, and you're ready to go. So I'm going to put this in the oven. Well, here we go. We are ready at this point. There it is. It's got its praline topping on it, and I've added about a half cup of marshmallows to the center. Now notice I'm kind of pressing them down just a little bit so they'll stay, but I'm going to put them back in the oven. And now this is when you really have to watch it. They're going to get nice and beautiful and golden. And there it is. Absolutely beautiful. How pretty is that? Is your mouth watering? Oh, mine is. Oh my goodness. And peek back there. There's that little Lodge skillet. He's all shined up and he's ready to do some serious cooking. So we have the sweet potatoes ready, and our little Lodge skillet is wonderful.